Hi, welcome back to Sarah's Next Chapter. My name is Sarah, and today I'm going to be sharing with you the books that got me through, the books that appeared at the right time in my life when I needed them most. So grab a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, a glass of water, and let's get into it. It's actually kind of early for me filming this. I usually film later in the day, and I've not spoken yet today, so I feel like my voice is still getting used to speaking, so bear with me. But I thought it would be fun to share with you 4 books that have in some way saved me, helped me, got me through something, or just been there at like a really prominent point in my life and that I really remember with a certain time in my life. So yeah, I've tried to do these in chronological order so you'll get like a little timeline of my life because it's so interesting. The first book that really came along right when I needed it is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. So I read this, I think it was like maybe a couple of years after it came out. I was in college, so I went to college to do acting for stage and screen, and I was just feeling a certain type of way. I was feeling pretty conflicted about a lot of things in my life. I was in a big sort of transition period in my life, going off to college, pursuing acting, meeting new people, and I also was feeling like conflicted about a long term relationship that I was in, didn't know what to do about it, didn't handle it in the best way. There was a lot of drinking involved. There was just a lot going on in my life. And this book really just came when I needed it because I felt like I could kind of relate to Katniss. Now, I'm not trying to say that my pathetic college worries were anything like what Katniss has to deal with and literally fighting to the death in the Hunger Games. I'm not trying to say that. But just in terms of like her internal life, I feel like a lot of the 3 books, but this book in particular, she just feels so conflicted and confused, and there's so much going on and there's so much information that people are throwing at her and so many other people's feelings to consider, and she just doesn't really know. It's like she's like a boat that's out at sea in a stormy ocean. She's just been flung around from pillar to post, and that's kind of how I felt, and I just really related to Katniss at that point. She's also like an older sister. I have 2 younger sisters. So there was just lots of elements in this book where it just really related to Katniss. Like that feeling of like having to be strong and like weather the storm through it all no matter what. I kind of related to it at that point in my life. And I really loved these books. I vividly remember reading Catching Fire on the tube to college every day. I just, yeah, I always associate these books with that time in my life, and I thank them for getting me through it and also just for being one of my favourite series of books. Okay, so we're skipping ahead a couple of years to 2015, and the next book I want to talk to you about is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I always have to look at her name for reassurance that I'm saying it right. So yeah, I read this book in 2015, and that was the year I met my husband. So I read it in maybe the October of 2015 because I was told that I have to, like, my friend bought this for me and she was like, you have to read this around like Halloween time, winter time. You can't read it in the summer, which I 1000% agree with, because she bought me this book for my birthday. My birthday's in August and I just wanted to read it straight away, and she was like, no, absolutely not, I will not allow you to do that, you need to read it in the winter. And I'm really glad she was firm with me, and I'm going to pass that on and be firm with you. Do not read this book. This is not a spring summer book. This is an autumn winter book, and if I see any of you reading it now, like spring summer, I'm going to snatch it out your hand and you can come get it when the leaves change. So yeah, The Night Circus is like a fantasy love story, I would say, at its heart, and I was falling in love with my husband really fast. It was a bit of a whirlwind, and yeah, just reading that book at that time was like really, what's the word when something happens like at the same time, like succinct. It was just perfect timing for me to be reading that book. I had all these warm and fuzzy feelings in real life, and this book was giving me warm and fuzzy feelings. Now, I will say it's not totally warm and fuzzy. There's a lot of darkness in this book, but the love story is really beautiful, and yeah, I just really enjoyed it, and I think it came along at the perfect time for me. So if you haven't read it, wait till the autumn winter, but read The Night Circus for sure. Okay, skipping ahead again to 2020. We all know what happened that year. Next book I want to talk about is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. So I read this during lockdown, and it was the periods of lockdown where you were stuck in your house, but my husband was able to go back to work because he was kind of doing a job where he could like work by himself, and I was working a little bit from home, but you know, I was just home all day every day by myself, and I was really really lonely. I don't cope well by myself at the best of times. Like if I have a full day in the house by myself, even though I know my husband's coming home at night, like I'll struggle. Like I need to get out and do things, I need to speak to people, I need to be active. So lockdown was hard for everybody, but I really struggled with that aspect of it. I know some people love being on their own, but you know, also people that love being on their own love it because they've dictated that they want to be on their own, not because it's forced upon them. So anyway, Where the Crawdads Sing, obviously the main character Kaya is on her own most of the book, living in the marshlands in North Carolina. So I just felt like when I was reading it, it was summer in lockdown, so it was summer, it was warm outside, had the like sunlight streaming through the window, and I would sit and read this, and I just felt like, yeah, I know how you're feeling right now. Again, obviously she's in much more heightened circumstances, but yeah, I was just, the loneliness, I felt like, I was like, yeah, I get that. And this is just an absolutely beautiful book. So it gave me a little bit of hope during those dark times. So yeah, if you haven't read it, I feel like everyone in the world read this book now, but if you haven't, definitely read Where the Crawdads Sing. I would say it is worth the hype. Last, but by absolutely no means least, we're jumping ahead to 2022, which was probably one of the best years of my life. Lots of good things happened that year. We went on an amazing family holiday. I got engaged. It was just like a really good year. Oh, my sister-in-law got married in Italy. Had my 30th birthday in Italy. Me and my husband travelled a lot. Like, we just had a really great year. And that is when I read Circe by Madeline Miller. So I actually started reading this on one of the last days of our family holiday in Portugal. I had finished reading the couple of books that I brought with me and didn't have anything else to read, but I had my Kindle, thankfully. And I was like, right, let's just download something that I've like heard about. And I'd heard loads about this book. I'd never read it. And I'm always wary of books that are really hyped because I'm always worried they're not going to live up to the hype. And I thought, right, do you know what? It's like last couple of days of my holiday, let's just download it on my Kindle, see what it's about. And I could not put it down. I was glued to that Kindle for the last couple of days, and on the plane it was just all I could do is sit and read this book. And this is the book that sparked my love for Greek mythology. So this book has a lot to say for itself. It's a lot to credit itself for. I'm so happy that I read this book, and it reminds me of that really wonderful year, really great time in my life. If you haven't read it, what are you doing? Go read Circe by Madeline Miller. Read Song of Achilles as well. I mean, that's just unbelievably beautiful. And I think a lot of people prefer Song of Achilles, but Circe was the first book of its kind that I read, so she'll always have a special place in my heart. So there we have it. Those were the 4 books that saved me, came along at the right time, that I remember fondly from a period of my life. Let me know what you think if you've read any of them, or if you're interested in reading them after hearing me talk about them. Please let me know in the comments. As always, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you want to, no pressure. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!